Started.
Oh my days.
Yep. Perfect. You threw it from. Hey man, how's it going? How you doing?
Pretty well. How's it going?
Nice. Now I'm initiating the how are you? How's the weather? Nice.
Well, it's been great, man.
Like your hobbies. Nice though.
Thank
Nice,
you.
great,
This
man.
is nice too.
But get out of here, what do you have? Back to the podcast. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I had to, man, because they came here for meaningful podcasts.
Yeah.
If they wanted hi hello, they go to their neighbor.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
Yeah. Okay, so what are we doing here?
yeah.
Why do we come here?
Tell us the topic, man.
I'll tell you the topic. So like I was saying, I came to you talking about how I converge a lot of different thoughts that were scattered throughout my head in regards to what I have proclivities towards and my interest, and I came to, or ChatGPT. Well, I shout out ChatGPT, right? It was not me. But definitely ChatGPT, and it said transformative communication, and wallahi, you know me very well, like that just fits the idea of inspiring, shirko, like basically being able to uplift people, empower people, talk about things in a sort of manner, like for example that time when you were telling me about your dream and I was able to interpret it for you. This is it really put into words like what it would be for me if I were to say it in a word, what my skill would be, right? What the skill would be, or at least the skill that I want to aspire to develop. And so we can just go on from there, break it down to two. Transformative, what does that mean? And pertaining to the human being, and then communication. You want to go that route, or
breaking it down is amazing. I think words have so much meaning, bro.
Words have so much meaning. Okay,
words.
Get into
let me explain. Words, bro. I think it's a more recent thing for me. Like I'm looking at words and which words are correct to use in different circumstances, right?
Yeah.
And I think I was describing to you this the other day. Like I was thinking of a sentence in my head, and I'm like, no, if I use this, it's a negative connotation, right? If I use this, it's more positive, right? And I'm trying to figure out what words to use because, especially in the world we live in now, texting and stuff, one singular word you change in a text, it changes the entire meaning of the sentence to someone else's perspective, right?
Any sort of dialogue, really.
But
at least in real life, there's that ability to quickly correct, right? From the second you see someone's face go like this, you can be like, no, but you can anticipate that they think you took it this way, and so you can quickly correct it. But sometimes it can go over your head. I mean, how can it even go over your head? What is there to go over? There's not that sort of seeing what their expressions are, what feedback you're getting in real time.
So the only thing you have to go off of is their words.
Yes,
and that's what's so important in the conversation, right?
And that sounds like a good and bad thing. Like you learn, you refine how you use your words, but at the same time, you don't have the full, I guess, scope of human
interaction.
You don't get to have the. I don't know how do I word it. You don't get the full.
Yeah. I know.
I'm at a loss for words. We're talking about words, but you don't get the same thing that maybe your grandfathers would get in the social.
Same experience.
Yeah, the same experience. That same rich social dialogue. I guess.
But I guess the breaking down of words is a good thing to do. Transformative.
Yeah. Big one. Like we were looking at the other day, synonyms for I think caution. Do you remember some?
Be careful.
Be careful. It's good. It makes sense though, because my head for some reason didn't just make that connection.
Another one was wary. I think
wary. It's good. Yeah. It's good.
Another one.
Where are we going with this? Because we brought up words.
This is a part of the podcast. You just go so many different things.
Yeah, no, but where did it start again? I think
it started like breaking down the words, like
breaking down words. I think you said something like words are powerful. I'm not sure. That could be wrong.
Words are like very powerful in any aspect. Like a word in a single sentence, if you say it correctly, it can motivate you to do something. And versus another person, if you say that same sentence to them, might not motivate them.
Yeah, there's a lot of places I can go from just that, but wallahi, it was just a couple of minutes ago. Must have been an hour. I don't know what ago, but very recently I saw that. I think it was short or something, and it was saying that the guy was saying, if you tell yourself something the interviewer, the other guy, he was saying, if you tell yourself something, you'll believe it, right? If you keep saying it enough. And the other guy responded, I think it was Jordan Peterson. He was like, not only will you believe it, you will become it. And it was, that video was there, I forgot the context exactly what they were talking about, but there was kind of a dark undertone to it. Except the one I'm watching did, my mind goes, okay, how am I going to flip this in my favor? Because that's a powerful thing, right? Literally immediately my mind was going, okay, what am I going to just go and say that's going to, that I'm going to tell myself, that I'm going to become, to pretty much fight any sort of thing that I'm struggling with right now, anything that I want to overcome in myself, like for example, discipline, anything to do with self-control, discipline, for example, you know what I mean? Anything that I want to aspire to do, right? Imagine, that was a nice little insight, because I think it's true. I think it's true. I think there's some truth to what you say to yourself, you will become. Like with that,
Yeah, I exactly. Like, I think, like, I was also watching a short like that. I was watching a show where it was like, some guy was saying, like, if you constantly tell yourself something, exactly basically what you're saying, if you constantly, you'll slowly start to see yourself transform into it. But then at the same time, it's something as for, like, don't take it as something like you're not doing anything, because you telling yourself something is you putting belief into it, and you putting belief into it is putting 100% of your effort into it. So, like, it's not just, oh, I'm gonna become a construction worker, or I'm gonna become a billionaire. You can't just tell yourself that, right?
So for you, the words that you speak, your self-talk, and your belief are linked, and as well as that, in that same chain, effort.
Exactly.
Is correlated with all of that.
Yeah.
And you know, this is a good topic to bring up, is self-talk. This is something that I constantly talk to people about in my makeshift counseling that I do for people on Discord.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I wouldn't call it makeshift counseling. Maybe perhaps it is, because I'm not using any sort of real method that's been certified or whatnot. But essentially, when I'm just consoling people and we're having sort of therapeutic discussions, one thing I notice a lot, a theme that I see a lot, and even you were bringing it up, how sometimes you can be hard on yourself, and I resonate with that too. I'm not like, I struggle with this, and it's not a good thing to criticize or scrutinize yourself. Really, it's much better that you were to treat yourself the same way you treat someone, like for example, how I would treat you. Because if I seen you struggle with something, I wouldn't put too much pressure on you, as much as I would try to be constructive. It doesn't necessarily mean being a positive patsy. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what's necessary in that given moment to be a little bit positive, to uplift you in that way, then sure. If I need to, if I'm planning on, if I find that it's good for you, in a certain instance, to lean on to certain negative things that you perhaps might need to feel, like for example, if you're not feeling enough guilt, without being destructive about it, constructively trying to allow you to say, hey man, like, you should consider, taking just a teaspoon of this, like a little bit of guilt, just seeing you from the third perspective, putting that mirror out for you as another person, so that you're not in your like echo chamber. That's what happens, when you're in your own head, and all you hear is yourself. It's easy to forget that there are just a lot of different ways of seeing things. And so tying it back to the whole first thing I brought up, self-talk, it's a huge thing. It's because, think about it this way, right? I'm gonna end it off here. It's like, it's, I guess, also connected with beliefs, right, that a person carries. And a lot of beliefs that we have they're not actually something that we made up. It's something that, from the environment, from the families and the friends and the community that we're in. And so, when I talk to you, or let's say a father talks to a son, teacher talks to a student, and there's that communication that they have, mentor to the mentee or whatnot, it's like, depending on how this person talks, that person's either going to grow or they're just going to decay.
And it could be the same message.
Exactly. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't have to be the same message. It's just the talk, the kalam, the huddle. If there is something in it that's just like putting him down, even to, that person's just, he's not gonna make it.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but what I'm saying
Can make or break. And then I'm tying this back with self-talk because, like, chances are you run away from that person if they were talking trash to you. Like, if, from the first time that we met, if I was talking to you in a way that was like poisonous, man, if it was toxic, it was demeaning, it was belittling, chances are you would never try to meet me again. Right? Now imagine yourself. You can't get away from yourself. But I mean, you will definitely be downtrodden in that sort of, how do I say, mental environment that you have, where it's just like you're not uplifted, you're uplifted or enthusiastic or energetic, but you're constantly just getting berated by your own word that you would never accept if someone else was saying to you, but you're saying it to yourself, and your words mean more to yourself than anybody else's because you're the one that can build that real trust as you're with yourself, like up, down, every given time. That person's only with you for like little bits of time. They don't get the full window. You get, like, your word means a lot to yourself. And if you're going to use that as, like, you know, a way to just destroy yourself, put yourself down, then it's like, people don't, they just think I don't know, perhaps they think there's some sort of, they think they don't want to be, arrogant the word or something. They don't want to be a bad person by talking to themselves in a good way, but it's essentially
maybe it's being overly confident.
Yeah, perhaps, you know, they just if you wouldn't accept that talk from somebody else, there's no and you know why, because it wouldn't amount to you being uplifted and actually empowered enough to actually do things in a good way. Then how the hell are you going to take that from yourself? And the reality is, if you do it, like, chances are, like, that correlates with a lot of it correlates with a lot of the things that are not going so well in your life. Because when I change it, for example, so it's kind of on a bit of a yap there. Take it away. I know you probably have a lot of things to say about, you know,
continue.
I think I just ended it. It's pretty much just that. It's like, if self-compassion as opposed to self-judgment is always the way. Like, there's never an excuse. Like, it's like, even if you are going to talk to yourself in a real way and hold yourself accountable, that's just different than just completely just destroying yourself with your words.
Yeah, I can talk from my own experience. I believe that there are different forms of therapy, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that my form of therapy is myself. Like, I'm my own therapist, right?
Okay.
See, the way that I think is that if I had a therapist, would I want that therapist to talk bad about me? Would I want that therapist to shun my problems away, you know?
Yeah.
Like, to always blame me, right? So that's why it's better to think, like, for myself, like, Yusuf, you know, you tell yourself positive things, you give yourself these solutions, right, to your problems, right? One good way that I do it is through self-talk, yes, but, like, a form of that is writing down, right? A conversation between me and myself, right? Yeah. So I'm playing two different characters. I might think they're mentally somewhere else, right?
This is a non-judgment free.
This is my own form of therapeutic. Yeah. It's like I'm sitting down and I'm playing two different characters within myself. Yeah. One's asking the questions and trying to find the solution, and the other one's venting it all out.
Yeah, and that's a good point you bring up. Venting it all out, getting it all out there for you to see. If you have, I think a lot of times what I noticed, and it's a problem that I definitely perhaps don't struggle with as much, but the whole idea of not knowing when to do this thing of letting there not be a filter. Mm-hmm. Like, the idea of, like, say anything and everything, good, bad, ugly, or in this case, you're bad and you're ugly, you're dirty. There are times where I think that is so important, so much, so needed. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, like, yes, we understand there are times where that's completely just chill. You don't want to do that, you know, for everybody's sake, you know, for your own quality of life to be good, for your opportunities and others, and whatnot, you know, and ethics and all, you know, and even morality too, I think. But there are times when you need it, and I think it's in those therapeutic environments where you gotta just let it all out. Because if you don't know what you're working with, then you won't be able to solve anything.
I used to believe that therapy was a whole bunch of BS. Like I guess it was because I didn't understand there was different forms of therapy.
Yeah.
Because I thought like talking to someone about your problems was completely like it wouldn't help in a way. It was just never for me. But then I realized when I did have problems, there are other things that were forms of therapy that would allow me to think. And a big part was thinking. But how would I think? I play video games sometimes to think. Like I was saying to you earlier, I play video games, or I'd get out a pen and paper and just write down, or maybe go on a walk, right?
Yeah.
And that form of thinking just allowed me to better solve my solutions, right?
Okay.
And so, like, there's multiple different forms of therapy, and it can be the most craziest thing that you can think of, right? Sometimes.
Tell me the craziest.
For me?
That you can just say right now, yeah.
A form
in general, even if it's not for you, something you observe that people are.
I think some people find like therapy by just doing something that they like to do.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a little interjection. When you were, for example, having that sort of therapy while playing games, what was going on
in my mind?
What was going on in your mind? Were you with other people? Were you engaging with other people? How were you engaging with yourself? Were you just like on pause? Your mind was on pause and you were just on autopilot playing the game? Like, how was it? Like, describe that scene.
My mind would always, like, there's specific games depending on the game that I play. So for example, let's say I'm thinking about something, really thinking about something. I just open my phone, play Subway Surfers, because that's a game that I don't even have to think about playing. I could use my mind to think about something else, right?
Yeah.
So I do that, and now I'm playing a game, but now it's just that I can think more, like, right? Versus like I'm so aware of my thoughts when I'm by myself that it's kind of overwhelming.
Okay. So what is it that is occupied with the Subway Surfers while you can feel a little bit detached enough away from the storm in your mind, so to speak? Like what is it that's focused on that as like, you know?
Yeah, it's like I think one thing is like the moment, like for example, another game that I play is Rocket League, right? And when I'm playing Rocket League, I'm also focusing on the game, right? And this is one thing that you do, but there's still part of me that's focusing on my problems and focusing on all this stuff that I wanted to find the solutions of, right? And I might even like find the solution in the middle of the match too, like, and it's something I don't realize until I actually finished the game. Right?
Okay, so essentially so let's say you're not playing the game. Mm-hmm. There's almost like this, you're in this storm, you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, but there's so much.
But then once the storm is put to a calmness, mm-hmm. you're not even actively figuring it out, but you're kind of subconsciously, unconsciously, passive. It's just happening.
It's happening.
The connections are being made while you're kind of at ease.
Yeah.
And so that's like something to extract from that is this, right? Mm-hmm. There needs to be a sense of peace for you to come to solutions, mm-hmm. I guess, or insights that you may need in order to reach like I guess a level of calm, perhaps serenity inside, like some peace. To reach a level of peace, you need to experience peace. And I think that's what's when a therapist is doing their job, I think that's what they provide. A peaceful environment, number one, and a peaceful interaction with a person. That's a big part of. It's so very interesting that you brought that up, because I think when I had that moment where like, because I was going through it, I was at a point. This was a point before I was practicing, and I had just experienced a lot of trauma, and then I was not necessarily as depressed, but my life was not I wasn't living in any sort of inspired life. My energy was not, I wasn't putting my energy towards anything that I actually cared about. Life was kind of sucked, and on top of that, I had, a lot of self-destructive habits at the time, and I found myself trying to, when I was past all this, and I did have some insights about how to induce a because I came to the conclusion like way after this that listening is very key, and listening correlates with peace. And so when I was like reverse engineering like how I came to this conclusion that it's really listening that makes a whole lot of a difference, because that's what it is. When someone's a good and active listener, that causes that allows for that peace. You know, at least in that's like the way that happens in that human interaction. You know, that game is like I guess the game version of that is not listening, but when your attention can just sort of subside or like the ruckus subsides by your attention just being on something. You know, it's like, and so in the human interaction version, it's when someone's just giving a listening ear where you don't feel judged, you know. And anyways, when I reverse engineered, I had a brother, you know, who I was chilling with, and he'd be in the basement all the time while I was in the basement, and I'm just like, I could say anything to him, right? And it was like, when I looked at it, I was like, that's what it is, and that's so crazy because I noticed like. We weren't even the closest, and maybe it was just his Dhawaad, it was just his personality. But he just gave that ear, and I'm pretty sure that made a big difference. And it definitely did, because it's essentially what you said, right? How your mind was able to do its job in making connections, in finding solutions for yourself. I would find that those solutions when I had. Like I think a lot of the times I had, insights and like
some sort of guidance
is when that was offered to me.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I don't think he knows. I don't even think he knows that's what he is doing, but he offered that.
That's the beauty of it all, right?
Exactly. By the way, we're at like 20 minutes. Yeah. What are you thinking?
20 minutes.
I think it's good.
It's good. I was about to say, end off at a point. Humans are very social species, right?
Yeah.
Even if like your form of therapy, right, is talking to someone, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's whatever can get you to that level of peace.
But for me, for example, I'll give you an example of why I believe that I wouldn't be able to talk to someone, is because I'm not capable of what's the word?
Is it expressing
my own feelings?
Okay, interesting. This is, oh my god, I wish we could talk about this.
This is a whole different conversation, yeah.
No, it's not necessarily.
You know the funniest part?
Where this all root from. What the root of all this, and hold that thought, it's transformative communication. So
I was about to say, the funniest part is we were supposed to start with that.
And it really does.
Come back to that.
Yeah, all this was a part of that. Right?
Yeah.
Because what happens when you have self-talk? What happens when you have active listening? What happens when you have any form of therapy? It being, when you're playing games and the calm can come to your mind for you to make those solutions. This is all ways that you transform the communication. Sometimes it was just intrapersonal, and sometimes it was interpersonal, but nonetheless, it was transformative. And then on that note, we're gonna end. Alhamdulillah, who would have thunk it? Some yappers only made it to what?
20 minutes.
23 minutes.
The funniest part is we still have so much more to talk about.
I know. It's.
We need to schedule these, man.
We really do. We definitely do. But
it just happens most random times.